A mission, a betrayal, one soldier's fight for respect. Lara charging into battle, Darian ignoring her advice, and the team in chaos. Lara's voice echoes, I trusted you, Darian. You betrayed me. Will she rise above, or fall to his pride? The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm orange glow over the military base. The air was thick with anticipation as soldiers prepared for what could be the most dangerous mission of their careers. Among them stood Lara, her dark hair pulled back into a tight ponytail, her face set with determination. She adjusted her tactical vest, checking her gear one last time. She knew the mission ahead was critical. Success was the only option. As a soldier, Lara had proven herself time and time again. She had risen through the ranks, not just because of her skills, but because of her ability to think on her feet, to lead when necessary, and to provide tactical insights that others might miss. Today, however, she felt a sense of unease. Her commanding officer, Commander Darian, was a seasoned veteran who had seen it all, but there was something about his demeanor that made her uncomfortable. Lara had always respected Darian's experience, but there was something about him that made her feel like an outsider. Maybe it was the way he rarely made eye contact with her, or the way he ignored her suggestions during strategy meetings. She had heard the whispers in the barracks, the jokes, the comments about women not belonging in the front lines, but none of that bothered her as much as Darian's dismissive attitude. It was as if he believed that a woman like her had no place in a military command, especially one as high stakes as this mission. As the unit assembled in the briefing room, eyes met Darian's for a brief moment. He barely acknowledged her presence, his attention focused on the tactical map in front of him. She stood at the back, watching quietly as he outlined the mission parameters. We need to infiltrate the enemy stronghold, disable their communications, and extract critical intel, Darian explained, his voice low and commanding. There's a narrow window to do this, and we need to move quickly. Any deviation from the plan will result in failure. Lara's mind raced as she studied the map. She had spent hours analyzing the terrain and the enemy's defensive layout. There were key points that could be exploited to ensure their success, but none of the others had picked up on them. She knew she had to speak up. Commander, she said, her voice steady but firm. If we take the southern route instead of the northern one, we can bypass their main checkpoint. It'll give us the element of surprise and allow us to hit them where they least expect it. We'll minimize casualties and get in and out faster. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to her, but it was Darian who spoke first, his tone cold. That's not the plan, he said curtly. We're going with the northern route. It's been vetted, and it's the safest option. Lara's heart sank. She had been ignored before, but this felt different. She knew she could make a difference. But Darian's refusal to even consider her input felt like a slap in the face. The mission was underway. Lara's team, a diverse group of soldiers handpicked for their expertise, moved in complete silence, their tactical movements precise. They were in the thick of enemy territory. Their mission to sabotage critical infrastructure that could potentially turn the tide of the ongoing war. It was a delicate operation, and every decision mattered. Yet, as they proceeded, Lara couldn't shake the growing unease. Darian led the group, his face stern as he relayed orders. Lara walked beside him, her thoughts constantly running through the plan she had suggested earlier. She couldn't understand why he had rejected her idea. The southern route was the smarter choice, but Darian's pride seemed to cloud his judgment. It frustrated her, but she knew better than to argue in the heat of the moment. She kept her distance, remaining focused on the task at hand. They reached a checkpoint that was more heavily guarded than anticipated. Darian stopped abruptly, signaling to the team to take cover behind the crumbling wall of an abandoned building. He scanned the area, eyes narrowed, his mind calculating their next move. Lara's instincts kicked in. She could already see the patterns of movement, the weaknesses in the enemy's patrol. She knew exactly how to take them out, how to create a diversion that would allow the team to slip through undetected. She moved to step forward, but Darian's hand on her shoulder stopped her. What do you think you're doing? He growled, his voice laced with anger. Lara blinked in confusion, pulling back slightly. Commander, if we take the left flank. No, Darian snapped. We're sticking to the original plan. No deviations. His tone was harsh, the same condescension that had marked his earlier behavior. Lara's face flushed with frustration, but she bit her lip and nodded. She wasn't going to argue in front of the team, but deep down, she knew that Darian's refusal to listen to her would jeopardize the entire mission. The team moved forward as planned, with Darian at the front, leading the charge. As they crept closer to their target, Lara's sharp eyes caught sight of a potential opening on the right side of the compound. The soldiers on the left were distracted, and the guards on the right were sparse. It was their chance to slip in, undetected. But Darian ignored her silent plea for attention. He was too proud, too focused on his own methods, to notice the change in the environment. Then, everything went wrong. Without warning, the team triggered an alarm. The enemy had spotted them. Gunfire erupted in all directions as the soldiers scrambled for cover. Lara could see it clearly. The northern route, which Darian had insisted upon, was a death trap. The enemies were prepared for it, and they had set up traps. "Commander, we need to pull back and take the right side," Lara shouted, but Darian ignored her again, barking out orders to continue their push forward. The team was pinned down, bullets whizzed past, and it was clear that the mission was quickly descending into chaos. Lara's mind raced. She knew the situation was dire, and her instincts told her that they would not survive if they stayed on the northern route. Yet, Darian's stubbornness was costing them precious time. She could see one of her comrades, Sergeant Ben, caught in the open. He was trying to reload his weapon, but the enemy was closing in fast. Without hesitation, Lara sprang into action. Ignoring Darian's orders, she dashed across the battlefield, dodging bullets, and tackled Ben to the ground. They rolled into a nearby trench, narrowly escaping the enemy's line of fire. "Lara, what the hell are you doing?" Darian screamed from behind cover. "We're losing this fight because of you," Lara shouted back, her voice filled with anger. "I told you we needed to change the route. You wouldn't listen, and now we're trapped." Despite her protests, the team continued to fight tooth and nail, trying to regain control of the situation. But it was clear, Darian's refusal to adapt had nearly cost them everything. After what felt like hours, they managed to retreat into the forest, the mission incomplete and their bodies bruised from the battle. As the dust settled, the team gathered in a small clearing deep in the forest. Bloodied, exhausted, and demoralized, they huddled together. Their mission had failed, and they had barely escaped with their lives. Lara sat apart from the others, trying to catch her breath. The anger inside her bubbled to the surface, her mind replaying every moment where Darian had ignored her advice, where his stubbornness had put them all at risk. Darian stood at the center of the group, trying to regain control of the situation. His face was grim, and though his uniform was torn and bloodied, he still exuded an air of authority. He turned to Lara, his eyes narrowing. "You disobeyed orders," Darian said, his voice low but seething with anger. But Lara stood, her body tense. "I saved Sergeant Ben's life. I did what needed to be done. You were too busy protecting your pride to listen to reason. You led us into that mess." Darian's eyes hardened. "You don't understand what it means to be in charge. You don't understand what it takes to lead. This mission failed because you didn't follow orders. You think you know better than me. You think because you're a woman, you can challenge my decisions." Lara's heart clenched. The words hit her like a punch to the gut. She had always respected Darian's experience, but this was something she could never accept. "You're right," Lara said, her voice trembling with controlled fury. "I don't know what it's like to lead, because I'm too busy trying to save the team while you sit back and make mistakes. You put us in danger with your arrogance, and now you have the nerve to blame me." The tension in the air thickened. The rest of the team remained silent, unsure of what to say or do. But Lara was done holding back. She had respected Darian up until that moment, but now she was seeing him for what he truly was, a man too consumed by his own ego to admit his mistakes. "I trusted you," Lara continued, her voice cracking slightly. "I put my faith in you as a leader. But now I realize that you betrayed me, and you betrayed all of us. You let your personal biases cloud your judgment, and you put the entire team at risk." Darian took a step forward, his eyes burning with anger. "You're out of line, Lara. You're a soldier, not a strategist. Know your place." But Lara, her chest heaving with emotion, stood tall. "No, Darian, you don't know your place. You're a commander, and it's your job to lead not just with orders, but with wisdom and respect for those who fight beside you. You failed us,